Hello. Today we are going to talk about Orderbook DEX, and my name is Ryan Kim from Hashed, co-founder and partner, and we have been this space from 2016, and we are pouring a lot of resources to make a Korean crypto community. Today we are honored to onboard Ren from Order Network and Charles from dYdX. Please introduce yourselves and what you're doing in the company and your role.
Sure. So my name is Charles. I'm the CEO of the dYdX Foundation. The dYdX Foundation obviously works around the dYdX community and protocol. At the foundation, we are working on enabling the community, growing the network of validators for the upcoming dYdX chain. dYdX is a DEX protocol, and it's focused since 2018 on derivatives. So we celebrated earlier this summer $1 trillion trading volumes on the platform. So we definitely have strong signals from the market that there is an appetite for crypto derivative, and everyone in the ecosystem is busy at working the new generation of dYdX protocol.
Hi, thanks for having me. I'm Ran, co-founder of Orderly Network. Orderly is a DEX infrastructure that's focused on order books. It's incubated by Wu Network and Near protocol. I'm currently live on Near and going multi-chain. Happy to be here. Thank you.
Okay. So first question for Charles. So dYdX was have been a first place in Orderbook DEX last couple of years. So what is a unique proposition? Why dYdX can be a #1 player for last couple of years?
Absolutely. I think it comes really in twofold. The technology of dYdX, I think, has been evolving over the years and keep refining the experience for users to make sure we deliver a first-in-class trading experience for users, as well as all the ecosystem around the software itself. So a DEX is essentially a marketplace where buyers and sellers can express their opinion and meet their trade, essentially. So beyond the technology itself, there is really an ecosystem which you want to keep building and sustaining and activating to provide liquidity. So it's really a mix of both. And I think the focus of dYdX since the very early days on the derivative market, which is 10x bigger than the spot market, really has been paying off in trying to always reverse engineering every decision in engineering when it comes to enabling new features, making just a seamless experience and an experience in DEXs which is very similar to what traders experience on centralized exchanges.
Sounds good. So Ren, so Order Network positioning is a little bit different from other DEXs. So you're allowing other people, other players open new DEXs. So you are going to make, become a kind of foundation of other DEXs. So how you started this idea and why this will work in this market?
Yeah, so we have a pretty TradFi background, and then we have experience about 5 or 6 years ago starting a crypto trading company, and then later on a centralized exchange and DEX called Wu, and then now. So throughout these years, we know that liquidity is key, right? So then as DeFi is interoperable and I think the TA for traders are very different, right? So then there's the retail traders that prefer something like a Robinhood or Uniswap. There's the pro traders. They go to interactive brokers. They go to dYdX. There's institutional traders who want to know who exactly they're trading against. So the TAs are different, but they all need liquidity for many different assets, right? So then this idea of a liquidity layer that's across multiple chains, servicing the users on those chains, those communities, and having the native assets in spot and derivatives form is kind of what we're going for, and to do this in a secure and permissionless way. So we can think of us as trying to be like the decentralized CME, where there's many different partners on top who can route orders to us and we're maximizing for the liquidity that's provided at like the highest efficiency for those people. And they can service their TAs, their traders, whether they're retail or pros or institutional. And the UI UX is going to be different. The types of limits on like KYC or permissionlessness is also different. And we're kind of the back end for that. Yeah.
Nice. So so far, still, most of the crypto users are using a lot of swap or pool-based DEX. So how you can explain like what is pros and cons between swap and Orderbook DEX? Like how can you differentiate like Orderbook?
Sure. So the swaps and the AMMs essentially are a fairly recent type of architecture for exchanges. Historically, exchanges were order books, and then this innovation came up with Uniswap some years ago about automatic market making via some smart contracts. So they all have kind of pros and cons, and I think they have also different type of audiences. AMMs will be really efficient for the long tail of assets. So whenever you want to trade assets which have less liquidity, probably an AMM will be a great solution. But when it comes to the core assets of the market, such as ETH or BTC and many others, the order book is really where you find essentially the best price discovery, the best executions of orders, and that's where also a lot of the market was discovered before the kind of birth of decentralized exchanges. The kind of habits of the market is using order book type of architectures on centralized exchanges. Order book architectures is really what essentially brings the best liquidity on those trading pairs and the best execution. And that's why we keep seeing, and we will keep seeing more and more volumes growing in this direction. And I think it's also a strong signal that our industry is kind of maturing, and everyone gets more and more specialized on different type of audience and different type of markets and users, and seeing the order books kind of doubling down, and also AMMs growing in maybe new markets or different type of assets, more long tail, is a good signal that everyone gets more specialized, and every audience will find some people which are focused on their needs.
So in terms of that, like definitely liquidity will be quite important. Depending on the pair. So any strategy and any marketing you guys are specifically doing for like making more liquidity in dYdX?
Sorry, say it again?
So any specific strategy and marketing plan so for the empowering more liquidity?
So the liquidity comes from the technology on the first place. If you've got a great engines behind, you're going to essentially make the best of the liquidity available on your marketplace. And there is also, as I was mentioning earlier, these two aspects, the technology, where you can keep optimizing essentially the asset available within your platform, as well as thinking of your ecosystem. Thinking of your ecosystem on how you can build rewards or incentive for market making, for example, and making sure they adjusted in a dynamic manner, so they get really optimized and you're not overpaying for some services. But there is also the experience for the users, for the other side of the trade, the retail users, making sure the user experience is really kind of abstracting the complexity of the underlying technology. So for example, if you look at the testnet of the dYdX version 4, the upcoming version of the dYdX chain and protocol, users can come with any wallet. You can come with MetaMask, even though you will be on the top of a Cosmos-based blockchain. You can come with any wallet of your choice. And the product team have been really obsessed, I would say, in making sure that there is as much complexity abstraction as possible, so the user experience is smooth, and essentially you become a venue which is very easy to start with as a new user. So you want to look at the both sides of the spectrum of participants in your marketplace, and making sure that the market makers get the right infrastructure with great APIs, with great matching engine, as well as on the maybe the more retail side of the users, having a very smooth and easy experience, so that you can keep growing your liquidity overall.
Yeah, Rand, also similar question. So Now it's like swap is still the major part. So what is your unique strategy to take more market share against the swap?
Yep. So liquidity, there's two sides, right? There's the maker side and there's the taker side. Like Charles said, AMMs have done a great job on the spot for long tails and also for stable coins, I'd say, right? That's a really good use case for AMMs. But for the majors and for derivatives, I think order books are the way to go. And so for the maker side, I mean, there's two spectrums now. So there's the retail makers, which are the AMMs, right? And also the professional makers. Those are the guys quoting on all the order books and centralized and decentralized exchanges. And I think in an optimal world, it'll be a mix of two, right? It'll be the pros who are always going to do this anyways. And then it'll be the people who want to participate in market making, right? Hence, retail, whether in AMM form or in some other form that some of the DEXs are gravitating towards to already, like Trader Joe, with their more specialized, like UniV3, Trader Joe, that's making the retail LP functions look more and more like an order book, but not exactly. So it'll be this range of people on the making side that'll enhance the liquidity for all assets, right? And I'm a believer in that. So we'll have some products that facilitates that for both the pros and the retail. And then on the taker side, it's about people who want to take liquidity. It's more professionals, leverage traders on the perp side, and then the spot side will be people who are, either AP into an altcoin or trading, in a similar way to the pros on the spot. So we believe that we are trying to empower the guys who are building on top of us to really monetize for their user segment, whether it's retail, whether it's pros, whether it's institutions. Again, they have different needs in terms of UI, UX, and compliance and such, and they'll be optimizing for those user base, and we'll support that for them to do it. We're not trying to build like a one-size-fits-all product for the end user. We're just trying to provide the infrastructure and liquidity to empower them to do so. Yeah, and then they in turn bring in the liquidity on the taker side.
Maybe to keep building on the question as well, one way to build and maintain and grow liquidity is also thinking outside of your infrastructure itself. So there is this probably directions of the market, in my opinion, where we're going to see centralized exchanges starting to be gateway to DeFi. And if your protocol and your stack is facilitating this kind of integrations, you also bring liquidity from not only the marketplace, but from kind of accelerating the new users and making them coming to the platform. So in this kind of centralized DeFi, if you can say so, there is a great opportunity for the people who prepared for that to essentially facilitate. And I believe a lot of the centralized exchanges will become a little bit like what the banks are today. So if you go to your bank today, their core business is deposits. So you give them your salary every month, they make a little bit of money with that, and then they start to sell you insurance. And this insurance is actually coming from an insurance company, it's not them. They start to give you access to stock market, and they give you access via a partnership they have with a prime broker or an exchange. So we see in traditional finance, essentially, banks which are gateway to finance, and they bundle and package many different offers. So to come back to your questions, how do we bring possibly more liquidity, is by being ready to essentially embrace the evolution of the industry and getting ready to welcome and easily offer integrations with centralized exchanges overall, to try to build on this opportunity of kind of market morphing into more having centralized players being a gateway to DeFi. Another, and maybe my last point on this one, the way to bring liquidity is also to bring very interesting products. And there is already within the ecosystem of dYdX groups which are working on permissionless markets, so allowing the users to express their opinion in a very smooth and easy way on what kind of assets they would like to trade and how do they want to trade it. And I believe if you want to compete in crypto, if you just digitalize whatever is available today, there will always be a cap in the growth of your project. And it's much more possibly a moonshot, but also much higher potential to essentially design a receipt, design a platform which allows the market to express themselves, and to help the market design on your platform products which exclusively exist on blockchain, where the competition does not exist off-chain. And we've seen that a few times in our industry of crypto, when actually the products which have been massively successful were invented with ingredients exclusively coming from crypto itself. And with these permissionless market capabilities, you essentially also offer potentially explosive growth of liquidity and explosive growth of attention and user migration by letting the market express what do they want to trade and giving them the right platforms, the right risk management, the right governance around such opportunities to make it like a safe and healthy market, but creating these new and blockchain exclusive markets where the competition is very minimal, and then the projects can essentially benefit from that in a kind of exponential manner.
Yeah, totally agree with that. And I think still the user experience is like very messy. So getting into through like a wallet by MetaMask and other wallets are still very big hurdle for retail users. So from exchange DeFi and Orderbook DeFi exchange side, any effort to improve the user experience, right?
Yeah, totally agree. It's a pain to use most DeFi apps, starting from the first step on the wallet level. So we're not solving for that piece because there's a lot of people solving for that, account abstraction. I think we'll see a world later where the access points, I mean, Charles mentioned this, like centralized exchanges, prime brokers, banks, Amazon, who knows, right? They're going to optimize this piece. And once they come in is kind of where we want to be, or the application is built on top of our liquidity layer. We're optimizing for, I mean, in the previous panel, they used a term that it's chain agnostic, right? So we're believers in the multi-chain future, and that users should not have to bridge assets over and over and experience wrap tokens and all the risks associated with that. They should be dealing with native tokens. They shouldn't even see the chains. So that's what we're building around, so that users can deposit from one chain, and then withdraw from another chain in a smooth way that's secure. And it will be the native asset, not some wrapped asset. It's kind of similar to centralized exchanges today, right? Because every chain will have their set of native assets, and if we believe that there's going to be multiple chains in the future, those native assets, you want those assets to be, the native assets to be utilized by the user, and not some sort of a wrapped asset. So so we're optimizing for that piece, while the guys, the wallets and the custodians are optimizing for the gateways. Yeah.
Yeah, maybe we discussed earlier about CeFi being a gateway to DeFi. I mentioned earlier as well, kind of integrating with all kind of wallets. Should your wallet be an EVM-based wallet? Should you be coming to dYdX with a Cosmos native type of wallets, making sure it's really abstracting all the complexity and the heavy lifting for the users? That's really I think the core possibilities to enhance the user experience in general, and also exploring mobile apps and making sure the mobile apps improve, having a light version of your product, having a full features version of the product. But I think, as I mentioned earlier, if you can integrate and if you can become some kind of public good for your very specific kind of trading experience, then you will let a lot of innovators coming, and not everyone will need the same experience also. So obviously an Asian type of traders and maybe a European type of traders will look for different experience, sometimes different colors also within the trading experience and within the trading user interface. So you have to bring the right infrastructure, the APIs, so people can come and integrate and provide to their audience what they need. And as you mentioned earlier, letting the people in charge of integrations and kind of user relationship doing the best of their jobs. They're really good at that, and supporting them with that, with an ease of integration. And being some kind of public good, like we are, a layer one, if you're becoming a layer one, like dYdX has voted on Sunday evening. The community voted on migrating to Cosmos, so it's a very strong signal for all the participants in the dYdX ecosystem that this is happening and the dYdX chain is upcoming.
Yeah, so that is a very big move. So moving to Cosmos Chain would be will provide a totally new environment for users. So what's your view on the interoperability? So once you build a Cosmos Chain, then you connect it to other chains through IBC. Also, like now, it's a multi-chain environment is like totally different from like 2-3 years ago. So what you're preparing for the interoperability to invite more liquidity from outside to Cosmos Chain?
As a derivative exchange and derivative protocol, dYdX does not have the same needs of interoperability as, for example, a lending protocol. It's a very different type of setup. People enter the protocol and start with USDC, and then they start to express their opinion on ETH or BTC or many other trading pairs. So it's not the same type of challenge as it is for some other type of DeFi applications. Moving to Cosmos means also we can benefit from the Cosmos ecosystem. USDC is coming natively on the Cosmos ecosystem, so that's a very strong piece of support for dYdX migration to Cosmos. But there is also, if you kind of reverse everything and start to think from the user and not from the blockchain itself, what does it mean for a user to have a multi-chain experience? And maybe for many users, it's actually having integration with custodians, integrations with exchanges, centralized exchanges, so you can withdraw and get essentially your cross-chain experience, starting not only from the blockchain stack, but from other participants of the market, so centralized exchanges. So we don't have the same challenge as others in terms of connectivity with other chains. A core asset of the dYdX ecosystem, USDC, is native on Cosmos. And there is a lot of work and appetite from centralized exchanges to essentially enable kind of withdraw and on and off ramp from the dYdX chain via some centralized type of infrastructure. And overall, if you look at numbers, you can fairly easily decide where you want to focus your efforts and attention to provide and move the needle the most.
Right. So I want to know your opinion about like what is the biggest obstacle in learning on a DEX on multi-chain. So what's your big challenge in multi-chain?
Yeah. So there's different security risks, right, for each chain. Like we know about like the multi-chain hack with bridges. So then we're not a big fan of moving assets across chains, but just more on the messaging side. So we want, like in our latest design, the assets for each chain will sit on the native chain. It will not need to be bridged to a new chain that we have. We will have a chain to settle things, where the trades are settled per block. But that's just a ledger. All it is a ledger, and it's saying every user has this much balance and made this many trades and can withdraw X amount from whichever chain that they want to. But the assets actually sit on those chains. And some information like the deposit withdrawals will get passed to the ledger via a cross-chain messaging protocol. And that's kind of the design. So there's less risk in terms of moving assets around, but it's more just moving messages around. And then the assets are secure on those chains, right? And so this makes it easier for, because there's so many chains out there, and they're kind of fighting for users and builders, and those guys, and they'll have their core fan base, right? And those users, they want to stay on that chain, likely, and the chains will try to support them to do that. So we want that to happen, right? For those builders, let's say QuickSwap on Polygon or Trader Joe on AVAX. Right now, there's 4 builders on Orderly. So currently, it's on Near, right? So there's Rev Finance. That's a very native Near AMM. And there's 2 centralized exchanges. That actually plays into what Charles said. They actually want DEXs. A lot of centralized exchanges are seeing kind of the future is more and more DeFi. So there's 2 of them actually built. Well, one is Woo, our sister company. The other one's BTSC. It's a mid-sized centralized exchange. Their DEX just launched on Orderly. So there will be different people who are on these chains who want to build, and they want their assets. They trust those chains. They want their assets on those chains, and they want to interact with those chains and their users to interact with it. And we want to allow that, right? and not even, they don't have to feel that we have this ledger or any sort of bridging of information in the background. Yeah.
My last question is like compliance. So recently, like SEC and government is very sensitive about centralized exchange. Also, like they're caring about like who is building this DEX or not. So, what's your how you react this kind of like action from government and regulator?
I think it's very important, and it's one of our responsibility as a DeFi industry practitioner to stay in close conversations with regulators, explaining what is DeFi and demonstrating what is DeFi. Not only explaining, but demonstrating, showing that actually within the roadmap and the mission of regulators, which are maintaining assets of the users safe, keeping a healthy market, having some safety and auditability of marketplaces. All of this is naturally built within DeFi stacks for the most part. So I think demonstrating that the agenda of regulators and the capabilities of DeFi have a lot of overlap. And actually, I think we're going to see more and more, and we start to see that with some central banks starting to leverage DeFi within their CBDC experiments, that the concept of DeFi will really keep progressing within the traditional finance space and eventually totally morph. We had good news last week from regulators in the US on the Uniswap case, explaining and essentially stating that the software itself, when there is a permissionless market capability, is not responsible necessarily in the full extent to what this new market launch was eventually delivering. So regulations are progressing. It's important to keep in close conversations with regulators and keep explaining what is DeFi. But I think the agendas are definitely meeting. But it's not always easy when we have up and downs in the market, when we have also bad actors which eventually collapse and damage our industry. So we need to be patient and relentless as well as resilient. But we are definitely progressing, so I'm very optimistic.
Ren, what's your thought about current regulation situation?
Yeah, I think dYdX is at the forefront of this, and Uniswap. So I mean, you're doing the whole industry a public good, and we look to your guidance on that. For us, I mean, we didn't try to position to be a consumer-facing protocol. So we are to be right. So we are facing the builders who are making their lives easier to get our liquidity, incentivizing it to service their end users. So I mean, it's our hope that, like the internet, regulators regulate the apps and not the protocol. That's kind of what we're hoping for. And then the apps on top, they have different levels of risk that they want in terms of servicing their users. And we can see a future where will be separate instances of order books, hopefully only 2, that services people who want really strict compliance requirements, like institutions that need to only interact with specific counterparties. And then there's like one for the general population. Yeah.
Yeah. Before wrapping up, please share your next 1 to 2 years next steps of dYdX and Orderly Network.
So the dYdX agenda is extremely loaded for the coming months. The community voted on the migration from the Ethereum stack to the Cosmos stack. So the dYdX chain is about to ignite, and that's really exciting for a lot of people. There will be a bridging chapter for users to bridge their dYdX tokens from Ethereum to the Cosmos chain, the dYdX chain. And the dYdX token on the dYdX chain will become a utility token used to essentially secure the chain and make sure that all the chain is properly functional. So that's a very busy schedule until the end of the year. So we are very excited about that. And after that, there is within the grants DAO and within the ecosystem a lot of people working on very exciting things such as permissionless market. I mentioned them a little bit earlier. and it's really bringing tools for innovators and entrepreneurs to express their ideas and show to the world what they believe the new chapters of DeFi are. So that's a very exciting program.
Yeah, for us, we just want to keep shipping, ship fast on this multi-chain future. And we're trying to decentralize more and more pieces of the operation. And additionally, we have to bootstrap for liquidity. The matching engine isn't fully decentralized, so we want to decentralize everything. And our liquidation system is decentralized currently. So just keep shipping and get as decentralized as possible.
Thank you. Thank you for participating in our discussion. Yeah.
Thanks for having us. Thank you.
Thank you.